I know, Lincoln, you are the keeper of my sanity. All right. So, yesterday we did Wednesday. Okay, so please go to the back side. Today we're doing Thursday. Does anyone still need a copy of this in person? Okay. I feel like today's stuff is not mathematically difficult. I think all your, like the hardest part of it is going to be these two type of questions, which is technically easy, but it's really easy for you to also get mixed up. So listen very carefully, okay? So the first question that you're going to see, something like this. It's like, what's the midpoint of the x-intercept of the function when f of x equals x minus 4, x minus 10? Does anyone have any idea how to find the midpoint of the x-intercepts? Hudson, what do I do?
So you do like
You do the thing.
the subtraction the x's, and then you get x equals -4 and x equals 10. And then you add them together and divide by 10.
Good, perfect. Let me re-say what Hudson said. So midpoint is your middle point. What's the middle of two things? Well, you add them up and you divide by 2. Well, what are you adding up to and dividing by 2 here? The x-intercepts, because you want the middle of the x-intercepts. So what are the x-intercepts? Your x-intercepts are basically your x's, right? What do your x's equal? So since it's already factored, I don't have to factor it. It looks like my x's equal -4 and +10. Right? When I just solve for it, x is equal -4 and +10. So what is the middle point of these two? So that's why Hudson is saying I have to add them up. So midpoint. I add them up and divide by 2. If that is too much math for your brain right now because you are just tired, well, then just put it in your calculator. Alpha y equals enter. -4 plus 10 on top. 2 on the bottom. Boom, 3 is my answer. So my midpoint is 3. So that's all you're doing, okay, guys? When it says what's the midpoint of the x-intercepts, find the x-intercepts. In other words, solve for x, and then add them together and divide by 2. Okay. Let's get to the easy, honestly, but the more complicated stuff, because you guys like to overcomplicate everything. So here's my picture. Okay, let me clarify a couple things. Yesterday, we said whenever we read a graph, we read from left to right, right? So it looks like this graph is going down and then it's going up. In other words, it is decreasing for a while. And then once it reaches like the -2, then it's increasing. Okay, I hope that makes sense. I'm going to add something new to this now. Okay, not only am I decreasing and increasing, I can also say, look at the board. Do you see how this part of my function is positive? The reason why these two pieces are positive is because it's above the 0. So I can say that this part of my function is negative. And the reason why this is negative is because this little loop here is below the 0. Does that make sense? Okay, because then you're going to have to basically describe from what number to what number is, is it positive? Is it negative? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, let me throw in another wrench in here to make it even more complicated. Okay, this part of my picture, do you see how this part of my picture is decreasing because it's going down, but it's also positive because it's in the above 0 section. So like this part of my picture, it is decreasing because it's still going down, but it's negative because it's in the negative part of my picture, right? It's below 0. This part of my function right here, it is increasing. Oh, you can't see it, sorry. This part is increasing because it's going up, but is it positive or negative? Negative because it's below 0. And then this part is positive, right? Because it's above 0, but it is increasing or decreasing? Increasing, right? Because it's going up. Okay. So let's look at this now. The function is negative for all real values of x where something. The function is negative. So let's look at the negative section. So I highly, highly suggest today when you do your quiz, if you are in person, I can give you 2 little sticky notes, and basically you can use your Post-its and kind of like attach it to your screen so you can block out some of the stuff you're looking at. It just makes it easier. Like if you look at the whole thing, geez, it's a lot going on. But if you say the function is negative, oh, so let's just block out the positive part. Now I can say, okay, this function is negative. So if you have sticky notes to like stick on your, screen, it's easier to block out certain information and zoom in on what you need. So it is negative for all real values of x where what? So between what 2 numbers is this picture going from? This picture is going from what to what? Andrew? Okay, close. It is going from -16 to 0, but it's talking about the x's, not the y's. Andrew? Yeah, so do you see how it's actually going from -6 to +2? And the reason why I'm looking at the x-axis is because it's talking about the x's right here, right? The answer has the x in there. It's not talking about the y-axis, it's talking about the x-axis. So I'm going from -6 to +2. That's my, my range. From here to here, my picture is negative, and my alligator is always to the right. Okay. But it is not less than or equal to. I'm telling you, it's just less than, and it's just less than. Does anyone have any idea why it would not be or equal to? Hudson?
Because at the point of -6 to 0.
Yeah, at this point, or equal to 6, at this point, it's 0, which is not positive or negative, right? It's only looking for the negatives. That's why it can't be 6, because 6 is at the 0. 2 is at the 0. That's why it's not or equal to. Okay, so let's do the next one. The function is increasing. So I'm going to take my sticky note. If this were on my computer screen, now I would cover up the parts that it's not increasing. So it looks like it's increasing starting here, right? It's going from here to here. It's increasing. So the function is increasing for all real values of x where x is blah, 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 blah. So first of all, what number does it start at? Does it start at the -16, or does it start at the 2? -2, sorry. Hudson, what do you think? -2. Why is it -2 and not -16?
Because
it's talking about the x's, right? Where x is what? Not when y is what. It's when x is what. So when x is at the -2, your picture is going up. Okay, so I need an alligator. Is x greater than? Like, is that where my picture is? Or is x less than? Is that where my picture is? So is it greater than or less than? Lance? Greater than, because when x is greater than, that's over here. Yeah, that's where my picture is. When x is less than, I'm going to the left, and that's not where my picture is. So it's greater than -2. Okay. Next one. The graph is positive. Okay, so here's positive. And decreasing. Okay, so that's why I have 2 sticky notes. So it's positive over here, and it's decreasing. So it's right here. Does that make sense? That's what I'm looking at. So it's positive and decreasing for the real values of x where x is blank. So what is the number that I need? -6, right? Do you see how it's at the -6? Okay, but is x greater than? That would be to the right, or is x less than to the left? Hudson, what do you think? Less than, right? Because it's to the left. So it would be x is less than -6. So I feel like this is kind of tricky, right? I think it takes some practice, especially like the greater than and the less than part. I think what you need to think to yourself is look at the x-axis. Greater than means it's always going to the right. Less than means it's always going to the left. So you need to think to yourself, like, where is my picture? Is it to the right or is it to the left? Okay. Does anyone have any clarifying questions, questions in general? I don't get the blah, blah, blah type of questions before we try this again. Okay. Let's do this one then. Here, let me fold this just so I can see it better. Okay, so here's my picture. it looks like I am increasing until this point, and then I'm decreasing. I have the positive part of my function, and I have the negative part of my function. All right, online kids, this is you. You guys have been very, very silent. I almost want to see if I'm muted still. Phew, I'm not muted. Okay, here we go. So the function is negative. Okay, so when is it negative? It's negative here, right? This strip and this strip, it's negative. So it's negative for all real values where x is blank and x is blank. Okay, so do you see how I need to have two answers because I have like two strips of lines? So can someone online tell us what's the first number? What does this number represent when x is something? With what number?
Is it
Negative 3, right? You see right here, it's negative 3. So x is something with negative 3. Okay, so you have to decide with the negative 3. Is x, hold on, let me turn off my alarm. Okay, is x greater than, is it to the right? Or is x less than to the left? So somebody online, what do you think? Is x greater than or less than?
Less than?
Less than, right? Because to the left, that's where I see the picture. Greater than is over here. I don't see any picture here. Okay, so now let's do this side. So this is also decrease, or this is also negative. Okay, so someone other than Madison, for this section of my picture, online kids, what number am I looking at here? X is something with a number.
1.
Good job. So it's 1. Okay. And then Aria said that it was less than 1. So let's see why. Okay. Well, so here's my x. X is greater than or x is less than. So see where you have your picture uncovered. Oh, sorry, Aria. Okay. So yeah. So guys, online, is it greater than or is it less than?
Greater than?
It's greater than, right? Because it's to the right. So that's where you see your picture. So x is greater than 1. All right. Let's do another one. The function is decreasing. Okay, decreasing means going down. So it's increasing, then it's decreasing. So it looks like it's decreasing starting from here. For all real values of x, where x is blankety blank blank. So here's the question. Online kids, what is the number? Is the number 4 or is the number 1 for this problem? Someone online. It's 1. Good job, Haley. Sorry, it's -1 actually. My bad. It's -1 because you're in before the 0. So it's -1, right? And the reason why is because they're talking about the x's. The x is -1. The y is 4, but they're not looking for the y. They're looking at the x's. So the x is -1. Okay. If the x is -1, then is it greater than or less than? So look at your picture. Greater than is to the right. Less than is to the left. Online kids, what do you think? Greater, that's right. Do you see how it's to the right? So to the right, that's where you see your picture. So it's x is greater than -1. All right, last one. The graph is negative. Okay, so negative is this area and increasing. Wait, if it's increasing, is it like this quadrant on the left or this quadrant on the right? If it's increasing, which part is increasing? Jaden? Yeah, so this is negative and increasing. This is negative and decreasing. So I'm going to cover that up. Okay, so this is what I'm looking at. Where x is something. So I'm looking for the number. So somebody in person. What's the number I'm looking for here? Hudson? Right there, right? -3. Okay, someone other than Hudson. Is x greater than or is x less than for this problem? Lance?
Less than.
Do you see how it's less than because you're to the left? So again, I feel like if you look at the whole picture, that gets really confusing. But if you maybe take 2 little sticky notes or 2 little scraps of paper and you cover up what you don't need, it becomes much more clear what you're looking at. Okay. Oh my gosh.